What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy Dev. Welcome back to Building Wealth with Dev. Now today we are about to talk about how you can go out and buy your first investment property, because I know that everybody out there wants to buy a piece of property, make a couple $100s a month off of it in passive income and live the good life, right? Now, nobody knows all the back end stuff that comes with handling rental properties. We'll talk about that in a future video, because today I just want you to have the motivation and inspiration to be able to go out there and start investing in real estate. So buying your first property, this is what you need to know. So one of the easiest ways to get into real estate investing is actually not by going out and just purchasing a real estate property as an investment. One of the easiest ways and one of the most cost-effective ways for you to get into real estate investing is to actually buy a house as your primary residence. You're gonna live in the house for 1 year, and then you're gonna turn it into a rental property after that 1 year, and it is completely legal to do that, guys. The bank has stipulations, but as long as you live there for 1 year, you are good to go to turn that house into a rental. And then crazy enough, the bank will then allow you to purchase another piece of property. So the first thing that you need to know in order to buy your first property to then eventually be able to turn it into a rental a year later is you need to have decent credit. Now you can purchase a property anywhere between a 580 and above, but you want to have good credit, guys. You don't want a 580 credit score because that is low. You want a 700 or above credit score. And all you need to do to accomplish that is get into the habit of paying your bills on time. If you pay your bills on time, you're going to have excellent credit, and you're also going to keep your utilization on your credit cards under 30%. Those are the two things you really need to do to have excellent credit. Pay your bills on time, keep your utilization under 30%, and then you never want to over leverage yourself. You never want to go to a bank and try to get as much credit as you possibly can. You don't want to have a car that costs as much as your yearly salary, guys. You want to make smart choices when it comes to building your credit. So pay your bills on time, keep your utilization under control. You're going to have good credit. You want to have good credit to purchase a home because you're going to qualify for the best interest rate out there. Number two, the second thing you need is steady income, guys. A lot of people are self-employed out there, and I get that. I don't knock it. I support it. You know, I'm a hustler myself. I'm a business owner. I get it. But in order to purchase a piece of property, most of the time you're going to need a bank to finance you on the property. So if you're going to be getting bank financing on the property, the bank likes to see steady income. If you are 1099, a lot of times the bank will like to see 2 years worth of steady tax returns to show the kind of money that you're actually making in order to qualify you for the home that you want to get. Now, if you work a 9-to-5 job or a W-2 job, it is a lot easier to get financing. A lot of times a lender can see 30 days to 90 days worth of pay stubs and be able to get you financing on a home, which is absolutely crazy. And I've actually done that in the past. So it's amazing that all you need is 30 to 90 days worth of pay stubs and you can obtain financing for a property as long as that's full-time income. If it's part-time income, a lot of times they want to see 2 years again. But for full-time income, a lot of times you can get away with 30 to 90 days worth of pay stubs and you can qualify for a home. So number two is going to be income. And then number three, guys, is you need some money saved up. Now, this is where I say buying a house as your primary residence instead of just buying strictly an investment property first is smarter. And the reason being is because a lot of times when you're first getting started on your real estate journey, you haven't made a lot of money yet. So when you haven't made a lot of money yet, you have to be smart with the little bit of money that you do have. Now, if you're in a situation where you got a ton of money and you already have a primary residence that you don't plan on moving from, and you have a ton of money to put down on an investment property, you can afford to put down 20%. But if you're in a situation like I was in when I first started investing in real estate, I didn't have 20% to put down on a house. All I had was about 3.5%. So I was able to qualify for a loan very similar to the FHA or the first time home buyer loan. I had to put down right around 3 or 3.5% down. And then that enabled me to be able to get into my first property. The dope thing about it is I was able to live in that property for a year. So I got to understand what homeownership was like. I got to see if there were going to be any repairs that the home needed right away. And while I was there, I was able to fix those if need be. And then after that, after I lived there for 1 year, the bank allowed me to move out of our first house and then we turned that house into a rental property. So we needed three things, guys. All we needed was good credit, right? Number one, good credit, above 700 if you can. Pay your bills on time, keep that utilization under 30% on those credit cards, and you should be good to go when it comes to credit. The credit game is not hard. Most of the people that I come in contact with that had messed up credit, they just don't pay their bills. So, of course, if you don't pay your bills, you're not going to have good credit. You're going to have horrible credit, because credit is basically all it is a measure to show someone's ability to pay their bills back on time, right? So if you don't pay your bills back on time, you're going to have messed up credit. Whereas if you pay your bills on time and you keep that utilization on those credit cards, I cannot express it enough, under 30%, you will, guys, be able to have good credit. And again, anything over 700, you should be good to go. Number two, again, is steady income. Get you a W-2 job for 6 months, work that job, do a great job, stack your bread, qualify for your home. Use that to get into your first home, guys. If you're 1099, again, if you're self-employed, you can do it. But again, when you're 1099, you're also writing off everything you can on your taxes. So you're not showing a lot of income. So if you are 1099, you're going to have to show quite a bit of income to qualify for your home. You should talk with your accountant to see, okay, how much income am I currently showing? And then you're going to want to talk with the mortgage lender to see how much income you're going to need to show in order to qualify for your first house. And then number three, the last thing you need is just some money saved up. Here in my market, you can buy a beginner home for between $100,000 and $150,000. You're going to need 3.5% of that to put down on a down payment, which is going to be anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000. And then on top of that, you may need a couple $1,000s left over for closing costs. Now, one more thing that you want to keep in mind when you're buying a home is not like putting money in the stock market. When you're putting money in the stock market, you don't have to worry about things going wrong like the toilet leaking or the roof leaking or the furnace going out or the air conditioner going out. When you buy a home, you need to have money set aside for repairs, because stuff, unfortunately, guys, is going to happen. It's a home. It's an object, and things are going to break and things are going to need to be replaced over time, and you're going to have money to replace those things. So when you buy a home, you also need to have a little bit of cash reserves set aside so that when those things happen, you can afford to pay them. So you want to have some money if you're going to be purchasing your property. I recommend, if you're going to be buying a beginner home here in the Midwest, you need to have about $10,000 ready to go to purchase your first property. And that's stating that you're purchasing a property that doesn't really need much work after you buy it. So it's basically a move-in ready home. Now, the amazing thing about this strategy is once you buy your first home and you live there for 1 year, you can then turn that house into an investment property. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is you want to make sure that the going rent for the area that you bought your home in is more than what your mortgage payment is. For example, right now, if you were to buy a $125,000 house in my market, which is the Midwest, I'm in Ohio, you're going to spend about $1,000 to $1,100 a month on your mortgage payment. Right now, that same 3-bedroom home would rent for about $1,200 to $1,250 a month in rent, right? So if you're making $1,250 and your mortgage payment is $1,100, your spread is $150 a month. Now, I will tell you that right now, interest rates are so high. We are in the third quarter of 2023 and interest rates are berserk. I'm seeing an average rate almost every day of about 7.5%. And it's just crazy right now. So I will tell you that when interest rates do come down, you should have a little bit more spread in your monthly cash flow. And your cash flow, again, is the difference between your payment every month and then what you're getting in rent. So in my opinion, that is the easiest way for you to go out and buy your first investment property. Now, you can do it another way. You can immediately go out and buy your first investment property, but instead of 3.5% down, you're going to have to put down about 20%. So on that same $125,000 house, you're going to be putting up over $20,000 down just to buy the property. And then on top of that, you also got to go in and fix anything or do any repairs or do any painting or flooring updates that you may need to do. So keep that in mind. In order to start investing in real estate, buy your first house to live in it. You're going to get your credit up. You're going to save up some money and you're going to have steady income. You're going to go get pre-qualified, pre-approved with a lender, right? And then you're going to go buy your first house. You're going to live there for 1 year. And then you're going to immediately after that 1 year turn that house into a rental property, and then you're going to continue scaling from there if you wish to continue investing in real estate, because real estate investing is so powerful. Give you guys my quick real estate life story in my first property. So back in 2018, I graduated from school and I wanted to buy my first piece of property. I wanted to buy a duplex, but I couldn't get qualified because I only had one item on my credit report, which was a secured credit card. My credit card only had a balance of like $300. So the bank wasn't really fooling with me. I never had a car loan at that time. I never had any properties, of course, because I was trying to buy my first house. So my credit situation was very weak. So I ended up buying my first house in 2018. I was 20 years old. I had just graduated from college. If you don't know my story, I went to an accelerated high school, so I was able to graduate from college early. But I was 20 years old. I bought my first house for $55,000. That same house now, 5 years later, is worth about $140,000. So it has went up in about $80,000 worth of equity, which is absolutely mind-boggling. And I've tapped into that equity by doing a cash out refinance a couple years ago, pulled out that equity, and then used that to buy several more properties. So real estate investing for me has truly changed my life. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I would be happy to share more of my experience. I will be talking about more of my real estate investments on this channel, Building Wealth with Dev, because that has been a massive determinant in building my net worth. But guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning into another video. Always remember, when God is in it, there is no limit. Your dream life is out there. You just got to go get it. We will see y'all in the next video. Peace.